Friends, strange are the wage of destiny, and so are that of time. But neither destiny nor time brings up what is called the poetic justice till they have tested the tolerance of the people concerned. And everything that has been buried under carpet deep inside the earth has to come up and are made to pop up so that the injustices carried in the past must be answered and must be bounced back to those who were responsible. With this, I welcome you to this special segment of deliberation on recent developments, this time emanating from the legal corridors of the Supreme Court of India, which has set the ball rolling for the exit door of what could be described as an insulting and humiliating act that has been in place for last 30 years and which have been hanging over our heads as a stigma, as a sword threatening and asking us to keep mum in the face of numerous instances of injustice carried over in the name of Islam in the recent past, ranging over 1000 years. What is that? So, the first thing first, the Supreme Court of India has asked the Union government, particularly the Ministries of Home, Law and Culture, to respond to the court in the light of a public interest litigation filed by Advocate Petitioner Ashwani Kumar Upadhyay, who has asked the Supreme Court to examine the validity, the veracity, and the very need of the Places of Worship Special Provisions Act 1991. What is this? This act was not brought in before 1947 by the Englishmen, but this act was enacted by the Congress regime headed by P.V. Narasimha Rao at the behest of the Muslims whose support Congress used to enjoy, and now the support has been distributed among many takers. This act bars the Hindus from reclaiming thousands of places of worship which were razed to the ground by the Muslim invaders, rulers, nawabs and kings with glee and in the name of Islam and Quranic injunctions, in which they were indoctrinated, and they carried out every crime, every injustice, hailing the name of Prophet Quran and the Allah of these two. So, this act which bars us from reclaiming our places of worship ultimately comes under the scanner and examination of the Supreme Court. That means India is showing the way that some changes are in the air. Till it remains to be seen how the Union government responds. There has been the same bloody eyebrows which were responsible for the promulgation of this act have started questioning and suggesting the Union government not to disturb this act, for it has been one of the pillars of the secular foundation of the Constitution. On the other hand, the Advocate Petitioner Ashwani Kumar Upadhyay has asked and described this act as discriminatory, and there is no constitutional validity of this. For in last over 1000 years, thousands of places of worship of the Hindus were razed to ground, and in their place mosques or other places of Islamic institutions were constructed. They still exist, and they are continued to be used for anti-national activities. And even when not overtly used for this, the very Quranic education which is imparted, very Islamic education which is imparted over there, are inherently anti-national. Why anti-national alone? Inherently anti-human. That should be set apart for now. But what happened in our last 1000 years? Muslim invaders came to India. They selectively went in for temples, looted the wealth over there, broke the temple and the idols, used the debris, the pebbles, stones, and they reconstructed their mosque and continued to humiliate the Hindus wherever they went or wherever they had no strong resistance. Right from the Mahmud of Ghazni to the Mughal emperor, and even now in Bangladesh and Kashmir, as late as you can say 1985, 1992, and even now it's happening in Pak-occupied Kashmir, Bangladesh and Pakistan. So this law which had been promulgated by the Congress barred Hindus from seeking legal recourse for any of these thousands of places of worship, exempting only the Shri Ram Janma, for it was the one for which the Bharatiya Janata Party Hindu organizations were very vocal. 1990, the stigmatic Babri structure was razed to the so exempted it. But for the rest of, in fact, they don't want any movement in the name of reclaiming the places of worship at Mathura and Kashi. But why to talk of only these two? Referring to thousands of such places. And you will say, what are the evidences and proofs? All right. You may say, if from some Sangh Parivar historian, from some BJP historian, then the claim will stand cancelled or questioned. But no, I am not going to do so. I will refer you to hundreds of Muslim scholars who jealously took part in these demolitions as part of witness or writer, accompanying their ruler, Nawabs, emperor and invaders. And I will not say they honestly reported it. They reported it out of their zeal for the triumph of Islam in the land of Kafirs, so that they could document the things and hand it over to the generations for celebrating it. So there are over 100 such scholars who have documented this in their well-known historical chronicles. But 80 or over 80 of them merit authenticity, or rather you can say they are found in some kind of readable existence. And if you read them, you will be surprised. For the scholars, the Muslim scholars, they give minute description of the things happening over there. It will be a very painful reading to go through them, and to quote them will be voluminous over here. But I will particularly mention one such chronicle written by Farishta, whose Tarikh-e-Farishta chronicles such iconoclastic developments right from 977 to till he lived in India in 1609 when his book was final. And in all his writings, I am quoting just one of our 80 scholars, he is meticulously mentioning how Muslim invaders came to India, went from place to place, investigating about the importance of important places of worship. A particular mention should be made here of Thaneshwar in Haryana, where Mahmud of Ghazni went, and Anandpal, the ruler of the place, sent his brother with a message that he should leave that place because thousands of people revere this place as their holy land. And in lieu of that, he promised to give him what he was looking for, money, wealth, etc. But he refused, saying he had come to India not for the wealth or the riches. His mission was to plunder the places of worship of Kafir. In fact, Farista describes Thaneshwar as is revered by the Hindu as Makkah is revered by the Muslims. He went and plundered that. Hundreds and thousands instances of such razing and plundering and looting and mutilation and demolitions are there in those chronicles, documented by none other but the Jailat Muslim scholars. What else do we need to support our argument that this particular insulting act, the Places of Worship Special Provisions Act of 1991, must go? In the meantime, the only hope is that Supreme Court has at least entertained the PIL and has set the ball rolling for examining it, which will ultimately pave the way for the exit of this law. Thank you very much for today.